International Workers' Day today refers to global labor movement celebrations conducted on the 1st of May. So in South Africa, May Day celebrates the role played by trade unions, the Communist Party and other labor movements in the struggle against apartheid. This year, the day is also clouded by the impasse of the public sector wage negotiations with government. To unpack all of this, let's bring in our guests. Mpho Mpogeng is president of the South African Emergency Personnel's Union. Thandeka Msibi, deputy president of the Democratic Nursing Union, that's NOSA. Richard Mamabolo also joins us. He speaks for the Police and Prisons Workers' Rights Union. To all three of our guests, thanks very much for your time and welcome to the program. So, at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, I remember all kinds of reflections being shared about how this moment is going to help us appreciate the crucial role played especially by essential services workers. Richard, if I can start with you, do you feel that that's happened? We now appreciate essential workers more than we used to?
Look, although the economic devastation has been widespread, we think that the impact has not been the same as compared to workers who are not on an essential, who are not working on an essential basis, because there's a choice between having to work from home and those workers, essential workers, definitely have to be at the forefront. So the impact has not necessarily been the same. It has been difficult, I think, when you consider the fact that most of our nurses, our police officers have obviously been working under conditions wherein there have been an increase in infections. It's quite a worrying factor. So we think that there should definitely be more done. We've had experiences within the SAPS where, PPEs were delivered at a late stage, and of course, this has obviously seen an increase in the infections. So it's quite challenging at the moment, but however, we have been working hard as unions to ensure that there is compliance.
Yeah, Mpho, at the heart of the current impasse we're seeing between workers as government is money, obviously, but it's also unearthed issues to do with the collective bargaining process. If you do agree with that, outline for me what you think about that process is problematic as things stand. Mpho, are you able to hear us? All right, it appears that we've lost our connection to Mpho. Thandeka, if you're still with us, perhaps I can throw that question to you. Issues to do with the bargaining process as things stand. I mean, we've seen that the tussle has to do with what unions feel government shouldn't be allowed to do as part of this bargaining process.
The first point that I would like to highlight is that workers from the public service, they feel that the employer, that is the state at this instance, doesn't take care of them. They don't even value the contributions of the workers during this pandemic. And moreover, that the government has reneged from the resolution, the signed agreement of Resolution 1 of 2018. That then shows that they are not even taking care of their own workers. What we think it should have happened is that the employer should have confined himself within the collective bargaining, so that the strike and other disruptions cannot be experienced by the community during this pandemic, but they are not doing that. We have raised very important issues: the mental health of the workers. We have raised the issues of the risk allowance. We have raised the issues for childcare facilities when the workers are still at work and the schools are closed. We know that our children have suffered a lot as public servants because we could not even assist them with the schoolwork because we're hands-on with the crisis of the pandemic. I think that's where we think we are not treated fairly by the state in terms of the collective bargaining.
Richard, if I can come back to you while we try to re-establish our connection with Mpho. So, of course, the detail is as follows. Unions want an inflation-related increase plus 4%. Government is, in some respects, pleading poverty and says that there will be no wage increases, so it's frozen it at a 0%. But in an interesting move, the Public Service and Administration Minister, Senzo Mchunu, in the past week, going on now to ask for proposals, if you like, from the public. Do you agree with that from a strategic point of view? In other words, do you imagine the solution lying with the public in some respects?
Look, we've got a Labor Relations Act in the country, and of course, having to seek some form of assistance from the public. Whilst we've got platforms, we've got bargaining councils wherein decisions are taken. This just goes to show that the minister has clearly become arrogant, because there are platforms where labor and of course the employer can have such discussions, looking into what actually needs to be done. You remember that the government has been taking decisions, especially the Minister of Finance, wherein they would decide that on this year we're not increasing the salaries of members, but they're not looking into their working conditions. These are dedicated members, these are dedicated people who have obviously lost their life.
Right, it looks like we've lost our connection to Richard as well. Having a fun time with our connection today, I'll tell you what.
We need to look into the public.
Richard, let me come in there. Apologies. We had actually lost our connection to you just a short while ago. Please just perhaps go back 2 sentences that you just mentioned, just to make sure that we're keeping up with your logic.
Yes, I'm saying that the fact that you get a minister who then goes out to seek assistance from the public shows that they are undermining the processes that have been stipulated within. Well, we've got bargaining councils wherein all disputes are supposed to be engaged on, and of course, I think workers are quite reasonable. I mean, in the past year, we have seen obviously budget cuts taking place within from 2018 onwards. There have been budget cuts by the department, well, the Ministry of Finance, and of course, the workers were not given a chance to explain what other measures could be considered. And of course, I think the problem here is that the workers, they want the workers to take responsibility for all the looting that has been happening within the country, where in millions and billions of rands have been taken out of the country. The government does not want to discuss. They feel that workers should take the burden of that. So we don't think it's fair that the minister would call on the public to engage in these matters, where there are platforms wherein we can actually have discussions and look into how we can commonly work towards ensuring that the jobs are saved and of course people do not lose their livelihoods.
Mpho, let's bring you back into the conversation. I'm told that your connection is a bit more stable now. Let me just get your initial reflections about where we are as a country in our response specifically to workers who play an incredibly important role in trying to stave off a worst-case scenario with this pandemic. Are we responding to the plight of workers the ways through which we need to in the context of a pandemic?
Thank you for having me. Let me clearly indicate that our essential service workers are not actually properly taken care of. Why I'm saying this is because they've been there since from the beginning till to date, and what they got from the employer, it is zero, because the employer is not actually appreciating their efforts. I will say that because some of the very same workers were abused during the very same level 5, where we were actually precluded or not entitled or allowed to get into the workplace. So you can easily see that the employer is actually playing games with the employees, doesn't even have anything to appreciate. We're actually expecting the very same employer to take a certain portion from the very same 500 billion to give to the workers, more especially the essential service workers. But unfortunately, nothing has been done, and we don't even get a clear report on what actually happened with the very same money. But we made that proposal with the minister. Unfortunately, he didn't even bother to deal with the very same issue. So we are very much worried, because after the very same hard work that was done by our very same workers, what they got was the cut, the reneging of Resolution 1 of 2018. I don't want to reiterate on what Comrade Thandeka has actually mentioned, but that's what our actual workers got from the employer. So they are not actually taking care of the essential service workers. Remember, as we speak, during the very same level 5, I like to deal much on the very same level 5. Most of the workers in the country were not actually at work. Only the very same people that we are talking about, they were at work. They were struggling with transport, with almost everything. But what they got from the employer is zero. Now the very same employer is saying that the people are going to get zero from zero increment. So that is very much painful. So we're noticing the employer, because his intention is to take back all the gains that we've got since from the beginning.
Yeah. Look, there's plenty to be said, and of course the real concern is what impact this will have on ordinary South Africans. Hopefully not necessarily a bad one, for lack of a better term. But let me thank you all for your time and for weighing in the ways through which you have. Joining us for that brief discussion was Mpho Mpogeng, President of the South African Emergency Personnel's Union. We also had Richard Mamabolo, who speaks for the Police and Prisons Workers' Rights Union, otherwise known as POPCRU. Thandeka Msibi was also part of that conversation. She's the Deputy President of DENOSA. Once again, all three of you, thanks very much indeed.